second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge. You can find us several different ways on the internet. If you'd like to download the app, you can go to icradio.media. You can also find us on television a couple different ways. You can find us locally on Charter, and it's on channel 182 Spectrum. By the way, Spectrum's one of our new sponsors.
Great.
And so we're glad to have them on board. You can also find us on worldwide television. Abundant TV is syndicated. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again so much for being with us and being part of this show. And by the way, we appreciate your emails and your text messages as well. So we have all the shows that you want. We're going to have a lot more on farming.
Great.
So yeah,
it's that time of year.
Well, everybody wants to be a farmer now.
That's right.
Yeah, I have a friend who actually moved from New York. And so she moved, she's actually in Cherokee County now. And I said, why in the world would you do that? And she said, I want to farm like you do. So anyway, we're glad to have her back in Alabama, or in Alabama to begin with. But again, thank you so much for watching. We have, and I always introduce this guy, as the world's best mayor. His name is Chuck Aples of Geraldine, Alabama. We've shown some interest here in Geraldine, haven't we?
Yes.
Folks are moving in.
Yeah. Just, had several families just move in from out of state and, just passing through or see something on the internet and call and say, hey, I'd like to live there. Tell me what I need to do. And it's just been good. It is a great place. And I've said several times, if I didn't live here, I'd move here.
I think they're watching you on the show too.
Oh,
I really do. And but so many things are happening, and I wanted to really bring one thing out. And this is a gentleman who had actually been paying for prescriptions.
that's
I had no idea this was going on.
Obviously the big story going on, but and I'd known him all my life, Mr. Hody Childers, and it's amazing that it's been national news, international news. But he passed away on January 1st, and at his funeral, it was announced that 8 or 10 years ago he walked into our pharmacy and asked the pharmacist, "Does anybody ever come in and need medicine and not have money to pay for it?" And Brooke Walker, our pharmacist, said, "Yeah." I said, "It happens all the time." And he handed her a $100 bill, and he said, "Well, just don't say where it came from. It's just tell them it's a gift from the Lord, and use it as you need it." And she thought, well, that's nice. And then the next month, first of the month, he comes and hands her another $100 bill, and did that the first of the month for like 8 or 10 years. And it's not hard to figure out. That's $10,000 or more. But the deal was, just don't tell anybody who gave it. And so it came out at his funeral, and then it got in the local news. And then I got a call from the Washington Post wanting information about it, and talked to them. They printed it. I sent them some pictures of the drugstore and the school sign, and they did a real nice article about it. And then just recently, Steve Hartman from CBS in New York came and spent a couple of days here, and I know he stayed over at the pharmacy a couple of hours one day after they closed, and interviewed Brooke and talked to some other people, and then interviewed some other people in town, and then the next day around town making some pictures, and did a real nice story on the CBS National News about it. It's been in the New York Times, and I had a couple of people say, that's a great thing. I hate that it's having to end, and I said it's not ending. And Brooke Walker, the pharmacist, had told me, said, you wouldn't believe the phone calls we've gotten from all over the United States, state of Washington, Miami, Chicago, just all over, saying, how can I contribute to the fund and keep it going? And in fact, she told me the other day that from January till now, the fund has 4 times as much money in it as it did January 1st.
That's awesome.
and just people sending money. And she told me about a guy from Miami that had called and said, how can I contribute? How much money you need, to keep it going? And she told him about, we've been getting money from a lot of places, and
Mm-hmm.
she said, why don't you just start something like that at your pharmacy in your hometown?
Good idea.
And he said, well, okay, I'll do that. But he said, you take my number down, and if you ever get low, you call me and
Mm-hmm.
tell me how much you need. And uh, it's just a great thing. I mean, Mr. Childers, Air Force veteran, and he did farming, just a regular old guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like I say, I'd known him all my life, but I'd see him at the post office or the store, and he always had a word of encouragement for me, and doing a good job, things looking good, that kind of thing. Just
Encourager, big
yeah,
time.
yeah. And I told Steve Hartman this. I said, now don't I don't want to take anything away from this great story, because it is a great story. I said, but there's another family in town that asked to be anonymous that brings me money at Christmas every year, and said, don't let any kids go without Christmas, especially food and clothing, and then get them a toy or two,
Mm-hmm.
and been doing that for several years. But doesn't they don't want their name out there, and then recently one of the students at school uh, diagnosed with cancer, and uh, our local barbecue here, James Barbecue, the servers just got together and said, well, for a week, we're going to donate all of our tips to this family. They weren't asked to do that. They just agreed to do that, and they've had a blood drive for their, to benefit the family and several other things. And it's just a good place to be. A lot of good people here, and uh, I'm honored to get to be in a position to serve and find out these good things that are going on.
Yes, absolutely. All we hear is bad news.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm part of the media, I know, but but I try to put good stuff out there, because people can get inundated with bad news all the time.
Yeah.
But you can find the good stuff. You just have to look for it.
Absolutely. And the story was on Good Morning America, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just good. I mean, it's good to hear a story like that. It's great coming from Geraldine, and I've had messages from friends all over. Got one just Saturday from a guy that lives in Florence now, that somebody I went to college with 50 years ago or more, and uh, just had seen it and made some comments, and then some other people, maybe from out of town that hadn't seen in a long time, messaged me and commented about it. But,
A lot of times people get their power paid for.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
just little things happen sometimes, and it's usually some angel. I call them angels. Some angel like that has found out about it, but they always want to keep their name out of it. They
Yep.
always say, and that's the best people.
Yeah. And I could probably give you an example of that happening every week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just that I hear about, and there's a lot goes on like that
Mm-hmm.
that I'm sure I don't hear about. But it is a great place to live because of the people here, but you know, uh, business wise, we've got a lot of good things going on as well, and uh, got we've got room for other businesses here. Got gigabit speed internet, which is the first or second question. It's pretty much the first
That's
question
usually the
now.
first question.
It used to be, do you have sewer? And we got that done a few years ago. We have sewer available, and uh, primarily in the business district of town, but it's fixing to be some expansion on that into some other areas and to more of the residential areas, which again makes it more attractive to live here. But be doing some expansion pretty soon. Uh, got great rates on all the utilities because most of them are co-ops, cooperatives, and uh, power and water and uh, you know the telephone and internet or from Farmers Telecommunications, just great people. We were actually the first place in Alabama to have gigabit speed internet, other than one little spot around Opelika, I think. But to have, the whole area, uh, it was we were the first in Alabama to do that.
Well,
And
you're
Farmers has
attracting a
done a
lot
great
of
job.
people here. First of all, it's a beautiful area, a beautiful community, and a lot of folks are working from home now, and they've got to have the
Yeah,
internet to be able to work from home. I know you've got some customer service folks who work for big companies who are living in this area.
absolutely. And we're talking about people moving in, and a year or so ago, got a call from a lady in Savannah, Georgia, that had seen some property for sale and was considering moving. She called, and that was her first question: "How's the internet?" So my daughter and son-in-law moved with me. They both work from home, but have to have good internet. And she's actually she worked in a museum in Savannah, and she's actually still doing some work for them, but do it right here. And kind of funny, when I got a call from Washington Post, I was talking to the lady, and uh, I just asked her. I said, "Well, where do you live?" She said, "Oh, I'm in Salt Lake City," and
Look at that.
but just working for the Washington Post,
Mm-hmm.
and probably some other publications.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, but you can certainly work from here and have great internet. Uh, Great, our property
Mm-hmm.
taxes are low, and just got if you want to start a business, we got people that'll work. They don't have to have $25 or $30 an hour. Uh, got great schools. Got 3 junior colleges or community colleges within 30 miles, and
Mm-hmm.
they're really stepping up their workforce development uh, classes and making that more
Mm-hmm.
accessible.
Because we have some great community colleges in this area too. They really care about your students. I mean,
Yep,
they really do. They're on the show quite a bit. Northeast Alabama Community College is
yep.
one of those. Had Melissa Ledbetter on the show with me last week, and she really cares.
She
You
does.
know,
And she grew up in South Africa.
I
You
know.
know, and here she is. But I mean, I promise you, she doesn't want to move anywhere else. Uh, but that they do. And I'm on a committee with Dr. Campbell, that's president at
Mm-hmm.
Northeast, and I've had several conversations with him. And but they're really interested in providing a good opportunity for people, with workforce development. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
the other, they've got a great nursing uh, school there as well, and
That's another hot right there, and you can actually travel nursing, if you wanted to do that. But there are other things you can do, from my understanding. If you don't like blood and guts, and you really don't, which wouldn't be my thing, but you can work medical coding and do so many, and you can do those things actually from home. It's all computerized.
yeah. One of my grandsons is a student at Northeast and actually got a scholarship to be in the jazz band. So they have jazz band. They do a lot of theater plays, um, and he's in grandson's in nursing.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't know exactly which part
Mm-hmm.
he wants to go into, but again, our schools offer dual enrollment. So when he finished high school, he already
Mm-hmm.
had about 25 hours of
I think
college
that's the most
credit.
wonderful thing right there.
Yeah,
I wish we'd had something like that. I would have been like, you that cap, and then you get to do another flip because you
yeah,
got some college
yeah,
already under your belt. You're
yeah.
way ahead of everybody else.
We've had several uh, people that I've noticed that have gotten their high school diploma and their college diploma at the same time. Their 2 year
That is so nice.
degree.
And parents are seeing a real big, you can see a grin on their face too. You can almost
Absolutely.
see dollar signs because they're saving a lot of money
Yeah.
doing that as well.
And like I say, they're real close. Sneed College in Boaz just got a huge multi-million-dollar grant to add workforce development, building and classes and equipment and all that. And
My phone rings a lot. Turn it off. It says spam risk.
oh
We can't do anything about that. You'll still get the spam
yeah,
risk.
but you know our businesses in town, and I I laugh about this, and it's funny, and people look at me funny when I tell them, but we're actually about to get another Dollar General store here. So we've got a Dollar General Market. They remodeled the old Dollar General, made a Dollar General Market, and a couple of years ago, and uh, now they're about to build another Dollar General store, and uh, be 2 miles from the other one. But
We have a listener, his name is Russell, and Russell said I could use his name. So when he heard you mention that the other day, he said, you know what, that's where I dropped that Dollar General bag and it sprouted a new store. That's good, though. I mean, that's
yeah,
the potential, or they wouldn't do that.
right. And they look at sales figures and
Mm-hmm.
uh, the workforce, and what's available, and how job retention,
Mm-hmm.
have people that stay with a job a long time, and some other expansions. Our local hardware stores, I mean, you drive by, it looks like they're almost doubling inside, and I talked with Jeff, the owner, and uh, they're not doing a whole lot of new things. He just said we just didn't have room to stock as many items and as much as we needed. They are adding appliances. He said we're going to have it more female friendly in there, but have appliances. They're doing more hunting and fishing and more of what they already do as far as plumbing and electrical and that kind of thing, but also adding a little restaurant in there. And they're going to have it where you actually can drive through the building and in the back and order a hamburger or roasted chicken or something like that, and drive on through, and or there'll be some tables inside where you can eat, and we've already got several good restaurants for a
Mm-hmm.
town our size, but we've got room for more, and he's going to add that and add some other things, and he's well on the way to getting that built, and that'll be good for our town. Uh,
Yeah, because people are always passing through. Pam Clayton passes through all the time.
yeah,
And so because she works actually in Fort Payne, so she lives in Albertville, works in Fort Payne, so she's always traveling through. And I've mentioned this before. She always says this every single time I see her. She'll say, "What do y'all do? It's always so clean over there." I said, "We got a good mayor."
and I'll remind you, Pam has a new last name. I don't remember what it is,
Oh, I got to
but
check that out.
yeah, she got married just recently, and
I'll call her Pam Clay the rest of
yeah,
my
yeah,
life.
me too. But and that's okay. I mean, she's
She'll
okay
still
with
answer
that.
to
Oh
it.
yeah. But great restaurants here. All kind. I like to tell people about our Tickled Pink restaurant. Kind of a unique name that started out as a snow cone business and grew into a full restaurant, uh, full size restaurant, and menu. Breakfast and the whole deal, and good local people doing that, and just and I always like to brag on our park, and I have people
Mm-hmm.
brag on it as well, and we've just recently added a pickleball court, fixed one of our tennis courts into pickleball, and
Now, what is
it's just,
pickleball?
well, it's it's played, it's kind of a cross between tennis and table tennis, I guess. It's a smaller court, and you have a wooden paddle and a ball, but it's played a lot like tennis or table tennis, but it's on a smaller court with a paddle and a ball, and but it's small enough where well, people of all ages can play.
So
I'll
even
put
I
it that
can.
way. Oh yeah, yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And hey, Bill King is a big pickleball player.
Oh my goodness, that Bill King.
So that tells you anything. uh,
Brother Billy Bob Bohannon.
yeah, yeah.
He's from this area too.
He is. Yeah. But I know he plays pickleball, but and we had some requests to do that, so we got one of the courts painted with that, and then I just recently got a request to add another one, and so we'll be doing that. Process of building a new ball field, t-ball, softball, that kind of thing.
There's a guy, Terry Taylor, who got in contact with me. He's been in radio for years. As a matter of fact, he's going to be on the show pretty soon. He saw one of the shows, so he got in contact with me and said he liked the show, and thank you, Terry, for saying that. And so he said, what sparked me, he said, you actually said something about the spiral staircase, Pat Upton. And I said, well, how did you find me? And he said, I don't know. He said, I found you in some directory, and I thought, well, I'll just go listen to one of her shows. And he did. And that very time, you and I were talking about him. And so he used to be at Muscle Shoals.
Okay.
And so he met him. And he was talking about what such a nice, polite guy he was.
Yeah.
He said, but I didn't know he was from Geraldine.
Yeah, went to school here. Grew up in church with him. He and a couple of his sisters still go to church there with me, and but you know, we think pretty big time. You know, spiral staircase was a pretty big deal back in the time, and but he was very nice, and you know, one of our picnic in the park we had, he came and sang, and you know, didn't charge us anything, just came and did his thing, and giving back to the community as many people do, and but we're excited about our picnic in the park coming up this summer. Kind of third Saturday in June is kind of our time for that, and we've got Wildwood as our kind of headliner this year. Group of guys from the area that had been together and had you know, quit singing for a while, and got back together a couple of years ago, and another just great guys, and so they'll be our headliner June the 17th.
I'm glad you're getting back together. Yeah, they're really good.
And we'll have some other groups, and have, of course, a lot of food vendors and people selling birdhouses and jewelry and cookies and
all kinds of fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get out and just have a good time.
Our park, our walking track area was pretty much wiped out with a tornado in 2010, and we started a donate a tree program where you could pay $100, we'd plant a tree, put up a post with a plaque on it in memory of somebody, in honor of somebody, and I think we had 130, 135 trees that have been planted like that since then. Did about 100 right away, and so they're doing well. And then, you know, we planted about 12 or 15 evergreens last year, kind of around the border, and that, you know, have some color during the year. And then we set out another 4 or 5 just a week or so ago. We just continually have people coming, you know, wanting to do that. And, you know, you did one to honor your grandparents, and tulip poplar, I believe, and but we, you know, irrigated, got a sprinkler system where we can, you know, keep everything good during the summer, and then we had our first Christmas in the park this year, where we put Christmas trees all around. Or we didn't. We let the businesses, churches, and had about 35 lighted Christmas trees around the walking track that really added a lot to it. and got new lights a couple years ago in there to make it better for walking at night, especially in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
People like to come later and walk. But good place to live, good place to start a business, and you can get more information at townofgeraldineal.com or phone number 256-659-2122. And
I wanted to mention too, the business license is very affordable.
yeah. I mean, most of them were $100 or less, and but again, with property taxes and all other things, being very business and people friendly.
Good place to get your haircut too.
It is, yeah.
And the best place to go if you to the doctor. I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break, and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang on. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Begin a great year and save big money with these specials at Albertville Foodland Plus. A 5-pound bag of red or gold potatoes only $2.99 each. Warm up with Campbell's Chunky Soup, 2 for $4. Slim down with gold salads, only $2.99 each. And make sure to check out the deli with fresh veggies and tasty pork chops or hand-battered chicken fingers, only $5.99. Check us out on the web at shop.foodlandgrocery.com. Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Now, that's Central Time for you folks who live out all over the country. But again, thank you so much for being with us. We have our mayor of Geraldine, Alabama, Chuck Gables. It's always good to have you on the show.
It's always great to be here. I love talking about Geraldine because there's always a lot of good things to talk about. Mm-hmm. And, the spot there about Liberty Bank, just not any better people around anywhere than the people at Liberty Bank. And been here since 1971, so over 50 years. And but great people working there. You call, need something, Nancy answers the phone. And
the beauty queen, homecoming queen.
That's right, yeah. And, she'll find out what you need, and she may ask how you're doing or how your kids are doing or your wife or husband or something, but she'll get you to the person that can help you. And it's not a deal where they have to send it off to a committee or anything. I mean, they can take care of you right there.
Mhm.
And of course, like I say, it started here in 1971, and now they've added 6 or 7 branches
Mhm.
around in different communities, and just doing well. But they, definitely a full service bank, and but again, great people, and they built a new building a few years ago, and their old building they used for bookkeeping for a little while, and then built a new building for that, and then they Chris Bailey, the president. Saw me in the bank one day, and he said, "I need to ask you something." So I went to his office, and he said, "What would you think about us donating the old building to the town?" And I said, "You said donate." He said,
Mhm.
"Yeah, just give it to you."
Mhm.
And I said, "We'll take it." I said, "Not sure what we'll do with it, but we'll take it." And so they did, and uh, as things would work out, pretty soon after that, uh, Michelle Stewart from our Geraldine clinic uh, approached me and said, "You know where some land is that we could buy to build a building?" They were renting a small place, and she said, "We need a bigger place." And I said, "May have something better for you." And so we actually applied for a grant through our U.S. Representative Robert Adderholt, his office, and just recently have been awarded the grant for $375,000 to fix up the old bank building for the Geraldine Clinic, and Michelle and her husband Jeff are real excited about that, and so are we. Uh, he's got the plans already drawn out, and of course it's kind of a long process. It's a federal grant, and
Mhm.
they
Nothing
got
you can do
rules and
overnight.
regulations, but they're giving us the money,
Mhm.
and uh, we're getting ready to start working on that here real soon, and fix that up where they'll have a lot more room, and also be able to add some additional services they don't have room to do now, such as X-rays and
Oh, that'll be
uh,
great.
that kind of thing. But they just they stay full all the
Mhm.
time. I mean, it's not a business that's going to go out of business. People
No,
are going to keep getting sick.
no, and folks love going there. They get a lot of repeat.
They do, and especially during the height of COVID. I
Mhm.
mean, they were just so good. You know, they after they closed at 5 o'clock, they'd bring the COVID patients in, and they always had plenty of the infusions that many other places didn't have. And
I'm
uh,
talking even Huntsville didn't
oh
have.
yeah, I mean, uh, brother-in-law from Nashville was here, and his doctor in Nashville told him, he said, I couldn't have helped
Mhm.
you, and kept people, a lot of them, out of the hospital, and
I'm one
several
of
of
them.
them alive.
I'm one of them. 'Cause I have
Yeah.
asthma, and so it was a huge help to me.
But again, just great people, and they're committed to being right here.
Mhm.
Michelle said, this is my hometown. This is where I want to be. This is where I want to help people. And with uh, she's a nurse practitioner, but with the help of Dr. Andrew Christie from the Marshall Medical Center South, we're able to do almost anything you need done, and just great people, and they care, and they want to see people get better, and have a healthy life, and we're just very fortunate to have them here, and just real
Mhm.
excited to get to work on the
Mhm.
building. And this building's 50 years old. It needs a little work, but that's okay. You know the building was donated, and then we got a nice grant, and
Mhm.
uh, we're prepared to chip in and help a little, when that money runs
Mhm.
out. But they would love to do a long term lease, and but just committed to being here and helping the people, and
Well,
we
Michelle
appreciate them.
listens. I know that's what she did a lot when I went to see her. But she did when she got through listening to me. She said, "You're gonna have to do exactly what I tell you to do. Okay? That means you're gonna have to come every day." And I said, I surrender.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I need to do. But I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know that I would have ever gotten over it had it not been for her. I mean, she just. I tell everybody all the time she saved my life.
Yeah. And I mean, that's I have heard that a lot of times.
Hmm.
I really have. And
And the staff is so friendly. Do you know the staff will call on you just to make sure you're okay every once in a
yeah,
blue moon? They'll just pick up the phone and call you. Just want to see how you're doing.
yeah. And again, I mean, they stay real busy, and
Mhm.
you know, that may be after their hours when they call and check on
Mhm.
you. You know, they call from their home or their phone,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
not just from the office, but they are, you know, really a great asset to our town,
Mhm.
and glad we're going to be able to make things better for them and for our area.
Mhm. You know, we've been talking a lot about the town. If you're living somewhere else, I'm part now of the it's a gardening club, master gardening program. So I've been taking classes there, and there's 6 weeks of it, and I'm loving every minute of it, learning all kinds of stuff. The
Yeah,
one thing I found about gardening, you can never know it all.
yeah,
I mean, you just, you can't. There's too many things. So I'm with a group of other people. There's 8 of us, and so, and none of them are from here. They're all from different parts of the United States.
oh,
And they've all moved to this area.
yeah,
Every single one of them have moved here. And so my question was, here I am being a talk show host to them. And so we had to know each other, and we went around the room talking about each other. My first thing was, is anybody from here? Am I the only one? So, and I said, well, why did you guys move here? And they said, well, it's a low cost of living. That was the number one thing right there. And someone did say I needed to make sure they had internet.
yeah,
And so they checked on that. It's probably somebody you've talked to.
maybe,
Who knows? And so that low cost of living, low crime rate was a big reason too
yeah,
that people are moving into this area. But the low cost of living, you could buy a farm for a fraction of the lady from New York. She said, "Oh my goodness." She sold her little 700-foot place that she was living. Well, it was a little bit bigger than that that she was living in, and she said, "I bought like a house and I paid cash for it." So I mean, she's just tickled to be out of debt.
yeah. And you know, and we have a farmers market during the summer, and
Mm-hmm.
I was a little reluctant about that. I thought, nearly everybody here has their own garden. And it's real good soil here, for growing crops and gardens. But and farmers market has done well though, and we have people from Albertville and Boaz and other
Mm-hmm.
places like that come
They
in.
know about our Geraldine tomatoes. Is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, and our tomatoes are
We're
pretty.
known for them.
Yeah, yeah,
My stepfather, used to live in Chicago.
yeah.
And he said, this is back a long time ago, in the 1950s. And he said, people would actually come and bring Sand Mountain tomatoes. I said, to Chicago? And he said, yeah, and people would just buy them like the person would be out of them.
Yeah,
They'd have a truckload of them. They'd all be gone in just a few hours.
I heard that a lot when I was in college in Birmingham, and
Mm-hmm.
then stayed in Birmingham a while, and you know, still got one of the guys that I went to college with. I mean, he calls me every spring, says, "Let me know now when your tomatoes get ready." He said, "I'm coming up here and get some." So do the best.
If we got the best soil or something about the soil.
Yeah, but the farmers market has done well, and we're hoping to expand that some too. We're always looking for ways to grow and make things better, and uh, got a lot of good people. Of course, takes a good town council, and we've got that. And, but we're uh, getting ready to do some paving and uh, working on some of our roads, and kind of like to stay ahead on that. Not wait till they've got holes in them and falling off the sides, and
Stitch in time, right?
yeah. Figured out, it's a lot cheaper to keep them good than wait till they get bad and try to fix them.
That's true.
And but all time looking for grants, and got one in now to do that, and to help, and our local state senators and representatives are good to help us out with things. In fact, they just called the other day and said, uh, whatever day it was, said, "We're gonna come by. Just got a check for you to help with paving." And most of the time,
We'll take it.
yeah, most of the time I say, I've never been told yes if I didn't ask. But every once in a while, they don't have to ask. They just bring us some money, but we try to use it wisely, but our town sales tax had a good increase last year, even with COVID, and but businesses are doing well and expanding, and uh, just a good place to be.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned our officials, Jenny Shaver. I'm really glad we got her
Yeah.
in this area. She's going to be a huge, huge help.
She is, and of course she's one of the ones that came by our state senators, Andrew Jones, and I've really enjoyed getting to know Jenny and her husband. He's the sheriff in Cherokee County, and a retired state trooper, but doing a good job over there. Our neighboring county's sheriff, and but she has a lot of contacts and knows where to get the money, and
She
I'm
learned
not
really
ashamed to
quick
ask.
on where to go and how to get it.
Yeah. Well, she worked as a town clerk in Leesburg. She worked for the Gadsden mayor's office for a long time, and comes from a municipal government background, and understands what our needs are, and
she's a PK.
yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. We were the good girls.
Yeah.
There's some preachers' girls are not really that good.
Yeah.
We were the good, quiet ones. We talked about that. Oh, and man, she loves animals like crazy.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, she's got horses and everything, and a dog that is just, that dog protects her. I'm telling you.
Big dog.
He's huge.
Yeah.
He is, but she said, "I'll tell you something else, Jenny will do. She'll get rid of a snake." No, she's not afraid of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we need her.
Yeah.
I told her to hang out here on this farm some. But I've never seen one.
Really? Well, I want to hear some more about your gardening stuff. I mean, I know you've done greenhouses and done all kinds of gardening. I mean,
Hydroponics.
Yeah.
I've always got to get my hands in something. But now, Brian Brown gets me. He knows he can just say anything and gets me agged on. And now he's with the Cooperative Extension Auburn,
Yeah.
And so he's actually heading up the classes, the master gardening classes and what have you. So he just mentioned that last year. And he said, "Why don't you think about hydroponics?" And I said, "What's that?" Now I know what it is. And so, Walmart is one of our sponsors. So I did order the system through them. And we're going to be having several shows about it. Before you leave, I got to show you.
Okay.
I got to show off my gardening stuff. And but Brian is the one that actually got me started with the cinder block gardens as well. So.
And the Extension Service has a lot of great information. I
had no clue.
Looked at a video on there about how to trim my fig trees, and
I thought Brian was making me. I thought he was killing our trees. So Brian comes out here, and I'm back. There's one of the apple trees. I was about ready to just get rid of that one. I thought it's never going to make it. It's all knotty looking and everything else. And so Brian just yelled from across the yard and said, "Don't do that!" And I said, "It's dead." And he said, "It's not dead." He said, "You just don't know how to prune it." And so thanks to his guidance, and he's on the show. He'll be on the show tomorrow. And so he's on the show once a month. And along with you, I always try to schedule it all at the same time. And so just, all kinds of great tips and stuff. And now we're beekeepers. And
yeah. And you can certainly give people some tips on cooking and canning, and I mean, just all kind of things. I mean,
it's just the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
But what I found is the fewer ingredients, you don't have to be all masterful, and you don't have to make it complicated. The fewer the ingredients, the better, actually.
Yeah. I mean, if I see a recipe that says 1/16 of a teaspoon or something, I thought, I don't believe that matters.
My grandmother, you knew my grandmother. Yeah. So my grandmother, we called it the mama cake, and I've got it memorized in my head. And she thought it was a sin to buy cake mix.
Yeah.
She said, "No, lazy people do cake mixes." And I would say, "But it's quicker." And she'd say, "No, it's not. You still have to measure out eggs and all that stuff to go in the cake mix. So you just I'm going to show you how to make this cake." And so she's not even using the recipe. And she said, I said, "Well, how much flour do you put?" And she said, "Oh, about this much."
Yeah.
And so I said, well, how much is that? I need to, I need to know. And she said, you don't have to be so precise. You just need to be a little, a little scientific about it. And I said, well, how much milk do you put in there? And she said, oh, until it looks like
Yeah.
this. And I'm going, looks like what? She was right. So this is how she cooked. She would cook by her smell, by her nose, and by the way it looked. And was the best cook ever.
Yeah. My granddaddy made Brunswick stew, and big pot of Brunswick stew, and like to do it, in the around Christmas, New Year's, and that kind of thing. And he didn't have a recipe or anything, just put stuff in,
Whatever.
And so one year, I think one of my sisters said, let me know when you're going to do that, 'cause I'm going to come and write down what you do, And I mean, on the recipe, it says, let it simmer, but at halftime, stir it, It's talking about halftime of the football game,
2 hours.
Yeah. And, of course, we had 3 channels, but, New Year's Day, we had football games on all day, but it was one, every 30 minutes or something, just at halftime or into the quarter or something like that, get up and stir it. But those kind of cooks, really did a good job.
Have you ever heard of Uncle Buck's Coffee Shop? Was in Oxford.
Yeah,
that was my
yeah.
uncle.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Made the best coleslaw.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
And he wouldn't tell anybody not even his daughters.
Huh.
And he wouldn't tell anybody what the recipe was, but my grandmother figured it out. She said, I know what he's using in that. Just a little bit of pineapple.
Oh, okay.
Oh. And that did it. Yeah. He died with that
pineapple.
recipe.
Yeah.
And my grandmother said, I can't believe Buck died for that recipe. But that's what you have. You have small town charm, and that's the best. And the memories we're talking about, Uncle Buck,
Yeah.
it was just all by himself. And the Ace Hardware's there now.
Okay. Yeah.
It used to be there. So, but it's your it's your small town, like the bank here. It's, I've lived in the big city before, and I'm gonna tell you what. I won't mention their name, but somebody got into our bank account one time and tried to take a bunch of money out. I thought I'd never get that straightened out. It was like I could not talk to the same person.
Right.
And then you would have to explain it over and over to another after you'd been put on the hold forever and press 1 for this, 2 for that, and by the way, those never have what my issue is.
I know.
It's
always the other.
Yeah. I know it, and I'm like, that's nothing to do with what I need. So anyway, I just press 0 for operator. Just keep doing it. You can do that sometimes. But this bank down here, and I mean, I've not had any issues whatsoever myself. But if you have a question about anything, if you need anything notarized, go talk to Nancy for a few minutes, and then she'll just say, well, right over there.
Yeah.
And then they take care of all your stuff for you.
And of course, they do car loans and home loans and all that kind of stuff. And got obviously safe deposit box. Got drive-through open on Saturday.
I like that, but I don't have to press 1 for this and 2 for that. I just talk to Nancy.
Yeah.
And then all the other banks are the same way as well.
Yeah. Just tell Nancy what you need, and she'll get you in touch with the right person.
That's true. So we've mentioned a few of the reasons why, if you're listening to us from any other state or anywhere in the world, and you're thinking about, I want to keep my business where it is in California or New York or whatever, just want to expand, I promise you'll be moving your headquarters here.
And, I know, we talk about being small town, which we are, but, I hear people talking about living in a small town with 30,000 people or something, So, I mean, I don't mind.
We are small.
I don't mind telling, obviously you can look it up and see what the census shows. The past census showed that our population is 910. Well, our school has 1,140 kids, and
How's that?
I always tell people, and some of those have parents. So our community of Geraldine is a lot bigger and reaches out beyond our compact town limits, and but there's I looked the other day. There's like 35,000 people within 15 miles, and so got everything you need, you know, with just a few minutes away. If you don't have it here, uh, just built a new, real nice theater in Albertville, which is 15 miles away. All the seats are theater seats. They recline. They're heated. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, they just got a Whataburger,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, Albertville's really growing. But you know, we've got several state parks just within 30 minutes. Uh, you know,
Plenty of places. Waterfalls. You want to go hiking.
yeah.
You know, so you outdoors folks, you want to go bicycling. I mean, it's all there.
Guntersville Lake is the best fishing
Oh my
in the
goodness.
United States. I mean, they have big
Mhm.
bass tournament there every year, and
I mean, I'm talking national,
yeah,
attention is what we get here.
boat races there. I mean, you know, just
I had a cousin back in the 70s who actually won the $10,000. Of course,
oh
it's more than that now.
yeah.
But that was a lot of money back then. And so he won the tournament.
But you know, come by and visit. You know, give me a call at Town Hall 256-659-2122. I'll be more than happy to take you around, show you the park and other areas, and you know, I've had people call and say, you know, I need to buy 10 acres or 100 acres or what, and we'll find them a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I always enjoy getting to visit with people, meet new people, and it's just a great place to be.
Really is. I wanted to mention also, if you want to go out date night, whatever, and Valentine's Day is coming up,
Yeah.
and you want to go to the big city, and stay. You're close enough to all of them. We're right
Yeah.
in the smack dab in the middle of all of them.
Yeah.
So you got your Atlanta over there, and then you got your Huntsville just a few minutes up the road. If you want to go there, Chattanooga, just get on 59, you're there in no time.
Yeah. Birmingham.
Birmingham,
Yeah.
you got it all. So, I mean, it's just right there. You got your hiking and stuff you can do locally, and then go to the big city. Everybody likes to do that every once in a while.
Yeah. And then come back to a peaceful
You'll
place.
be back. I was thinking about that the other day. We were living in Charlotte, and so to get to the TV station was on Ware Street, which is just off of Freedom Drive, out that area. And I remember so many times, just from the house, which was just 5 miles, it seemed like forever sometimes because I'd get on the interstate, and when they did the little roundabout, that made it a little
Yeah.
bit easier.
Yeah.
But before that, I'm going to tell you, there would be times I'd be sitting there for 2 hours just to go 5 miles.
That's not fun for me.
Here we just got tractors every once in a
Yeah.
while to get in front of you. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll be kind enough, if they say there's a line behind them, they'll pull over the side of the road and let everybody by,
Absolutely.
and then they'll go, get on back down again.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you what, a farmer is going to be, you need to hook up with a farmer. You absolutely do. Some of the best the beekeepers that I
Yeah.
meet with, I'm going to tell you, the first time I walked into the beekeeping meeting, though, I had this big appointment, and I wore a suit. So I didn't have time to change, and I walked in with suit on, and those guys looked at me like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I just didn't have time to change them." And they were saying, "Well, you're gonna be too big city to want bees. You're not gonna last." And I said, "Yes, I am. I love bees. I'm gonna, So, but they've been so helpful. Next time I came as me. I had
Yeah.
a blue jeans and
Yeah.
t-shirt on. So, so they've been such a huge help. So if you're thinking about farming of any kind, whatever it is, there's so many people around here who will help you.
Yeah, they absolutely will.
And they love to give you advice. And I'm talking about good stuff, really
Yeah.
good advice.
And I was actually real impressed with Steve Hartman and his crew that came. There were 3 of them in all. And I mean, if I hadn't seen the Lincoln Navigator out there with a New York tag on it, I wouldn't have known. But I mean, they were just regular people, but they were still a little surprised at how many good people and good stories that they heard, and how accommodating everybody was, and but it was
It was very refreshing for them. I'm surprised they don't
Yeah.
move here.
yeah. No, we don't want everybody. We still got room for several more.
Yeah, we got some room. We do here. And again, you mentioned Albertville, and Fort Payne is the county seat.
Yeah.
And then you've got your little river and all those things. Oh, and I ran into somebody it was at the class that I was attending, and she said, "Oh wow, you've got Little River." I mean, she was just like going crazy over us. She said, "I can't believe," and this I think this lady was the one who was from Chicago, I think. And so she said, I couldn't believe. She said, "I like to, like mountain climbing, and I like
Yeah.
to do all this stuff, real athletic and ride her bicycle." She said, "It's so fun to be able to do that without having to drive 2 hours."
Yeah. Well, just a few days ago, the Fort Payne Chamber of Commerce had a little event. It was actually an open house at the Singing Group Alabama fan club in Fort Payne, and it's people come from all over to see that, but they wanted to give an opportunity to people from DeKalb County, from right here, that maybe hadn't been or hadn't been lately, and see that. And so I went for 2 or 3 hours on a Thursday night, and just had, it's usually a small fee to go through the fan club, but it was just open, to, and went in, looked around all the stuff that the group Alabama had, and there's Teddy Gentry walking around in there, and they've really, that group has really done a lot for DeKalb County, and but they're just, and Randy Owen was out on a cruise doing entertainment, singing on a cruise. So he couldn't be there, but you might see them in Walmart just anytime.
But, just throw their hands up at you.
Yeah. But
well, Mayor, thank you so much for being on the show today. Can you believe just a minute's left? I wanted to mention somebody else who's extremely important, more so than you are, and that's your wife. She is so awesome.
She said to tell you
Catherine.
hello.
Hey, Catherine.
And she taught at Fort Payne High School for 25 years and retired 9 years ago. And then at Christmas, this past Christmas, our high school English teacher resigned, and so she is back teaching school and just loving it, 10th and 12th grade English. And
she's back to saddle again.
Yeah.
That's where she just loves that.
And had a, well, and of course she said her motivation for that was our youngest grandson's in 10th grade.
Oh.
she wanted to make sure she got him straightened out, pretty good. But they had a blood mobile at school yesterday afternoon to help raise money and stuff for the kid I was talking about that had cancer. And so she and I both went to give blood, and we were there. And there's a lady in there, and she said, "Did you used to teach at Fort Payne and taught chorus?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, my niece is Allie Watts," and said she just thinks the world of you. Said, she just loved being in your class and that kind of thing. And so, it's always good to hear those. I mean, she was a good teacher. I mean, I know she was, and because I heard from kids, and like I say, she taught chorus as well as English there, and I got to go on a lot of the chorus trips and got to know the kids. But she's not there just check and roll and showing movies. I mean,
Catherine's a very lovely lady.
She's serious about the teaching, and our other teachers are too. We've got a good school, and I mentioned sometimes that my grandkids, the 5th generation of my family, go to school there. My grandparents graduated in 1925, nearly 100 years ago, and so we feel like we've got reason to try to give back a little bit.
There you go. Thank you, Mayor, for being on the show today.
Enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching.
Yep.
We'll see you later. You take care.